How's it going, guys? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Fear Factory entitled The Industrialist. This is released on Candlelight Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with Fear Factory, they're based out of Los Angeles, California, and this band is really one of the most popular, well-known, and well-respected bands when it comes to the style of industrial metal. I mean, just heavy, groovy metal with futuristic elements, some synths, just very, very an ominous undertone underneath all of the metal that this band played. I mean, when I think of Fear Factory, I think of their first two albums, Soul of a New Machine and Demanufacture. Those two albums really represent the true sound and concept of Fear Factory. Just absolutely amazing drumming, machine gun-like blast beats and double bass, Burton C. Bell's amazing vocals, Dino's awesome riff work, and Christian's incredible bass work. Just awesome music all around. Even the two albums that followed that, Obsolete and Digimortal, I thought were really, really solid companion pieces to those records. I thought they were really solid. But after that album, I sort of lost interest in this band. I really wasn't feeling anything after Digimortal for quite a while, and I guess in some ways I sort of wrote this band off. Yeah, you lose interest in bands sometimes. It just takes a long time to just get right back into the groove of things. And, of course, the lawsuits, the rights to the band name, Christian and Raymond leaving the band, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Everything's over with now. Dino even leaving the band, but then Dino and Burton mended fences, and they announced that they were going to make a new Fear Factory album with a little bit of a revamped lineup. They brought in Gene Hoglan, of course, you know, from Dark Angel and Strapping Young Lad and a bunch of other great metal bands that I can't think of at the moment. And they brought in the bassist from Strapping Young Lad as well to do Mechanize, which really was a return to form for this band for me. I really, really liked it, and I thought it was probably one of their best records in quite a long time. Just amazing, amazing stuff. And it only made me wonder what the Industrialist was going to bring forth. From what I understand, the Industrialist is a conceptual piece, straight from the mind of Burton C. Bell. And I'm going to read off a quote that he put about the album. Because I know there are other reviewers who describe the story of this album a lot better than I'm going to. But just for the heck of it, I'm just going to get it out there. This is what Burton C. Bell said, I think. The protagonist is the incarnation of all industries in the form of an automaton. The mechanical, technological, and scientific advances through the industrial age led to the creation of the Industrialist. In the story, the automaton becomes sentient as it connects memories with each passing day. Through observation and learning, it gains the will to exist. What was meant to help man will eventually be man's demise. Sounds legit. So now we get to this album. It is 10 tracks and it runs about 49 minutes in length. And I want to say that upon the first track, it sort of starts off the same way Mechanize did. Very, very electronic and spacey in a way, with the distorted spoken words. And then once you get past that, you get right on started with the riffs you know Fear Factory best for. Guitar-wise, it's your usual Fear Factory guitar. Very, very heavy and reliant on riffs and chugs. Very, very well done and well played. I really think Dino is a great guitar player. But honestly, I would have loved for there to have been more variation with the guitar. I would have liked for there to have been a lot more higher-end riffs. I would have liked to have heard some solo work here and there. It's really not showing up much on this album, at least to what I can hear. I mean, I think Dino did a great job here, but I really would have liked to have heard more solos or more variation with the guitar. I think it sounds nice, but I just have those nitpicks about it. Um, Bass-wise, they brought in Matt DeVries from formerly of Chimera to do bass for this record, and his bass is just incredible. I love the way that it sounds. It has a very, very low to where you can hear it, but it's audible enough in the mix. I really like the way that it's played and the way that it sounds. It just sounds really, really superb. And I mean, especially on the track New Messiah, you definitely hear that bass dominant throughout that song. When it shows up, it is dominant. It is incredible. Drum-wise, this is where I have somewhat of a little bit of a concern. Well, I was concerned at first, but within the many times I've listened to this album, I've just let it go. But there is no drummer on this album. It's only drum program, drum tools. I believe that's what they did with this album. They used a drum machine, a drum program of some kind. I mean, for the way it sounds really, really good. You hear the fast double bass that you're used to hearing on a Fear Factory album, just the way that the toms sound, the way that certain things are triggered. It works very, very well. It really would have been nice to have natural drumming as opposed to electronic drumming, but seeing as how this is somewhat of an album that relies more on industrial metal and music, I think it's acceptable. I think it works well. And speaking of synths, Reese Fulber is basically the fifth member of this band. He really doesn't get... He really doesn't have credit. They don't credit him as much, but he is a very, very active part of this band, production-wise and electronic-wise. The electronics are all over the place. Very, very heavy, futuristic undertones. Very, very powerful. Very, very meaningful. I mean, I could have done without the drill effect sounds on Depraved Mind Murderer. I don't know, that really kind of distracted me. Yeah, for the most part, I think it's very, very epic. And we get to my favorite part of this album, and that is Burton C. Bell. I love his singing. He is an amazing singer. I love the range and tone in his singing. Very, very haunting, very wonderful. A lot of power and emotion in his vocals, even to his more rugged screaming. He has that really commanding presence when he screams and does his almost melodic kind of screaming. I think it's awesome, and I definitely feel that Burton C. Bell has gotten a lot better as far as singing and lyric writing is concerned. Yeah. We now get to the last parts of this album, the two closing tracks, both of which in sort of ways are instrumentals. Religion is flawed because man is flawed. It's about 2 minutes in length. It's very, very harrowing. It's a harrowing track. And it leads you on to the finale of this album, Human Augmentation. This is a song that has either mesmerized people or just plain confused the hell out of people to where they just don't understand it. I mean, it's basically 9 minutes of just high electronic sounds, distorted vocals, just a big wall of electronic sounds. It's heavy, it's ominous, and it's sort of vital in a way. If this wasn't a concept album, I really would have written Human Augmentation off as something I'd just pass along. But really, it somewhat succeeds for this being conceptual. I think it works for what the concept of this album is. I really wish that more could have been done with it. I would have liked for there to have been more use. I would have liked for there to have been some kind of real vocals, real music going on. But overall, that's a song that's going to be on the fence with me, for good or for bad, whatever. But overall, aside from the few hits and misses that I feel this album has, I think this is a really, really solid release. Very, very good stuff. I really wish this album, to me, I really wish it would have top mechanized, but to me it didn't. But I still think this is a lot better than most of the middle to early 2000s stuff that they've put out. Really good stuff. I mean, Burton C. Bell is what makes this song special. This album special, excuse me. I love Burton C. Bell on this album. And yeah, it might grow on me with time, but I may need to listen to it more to fully comprehend and understand it. Some of my favorite songs on this album include Recharger, New Messiah, incredible bass work on that song, God Eater, Virus of Faith, two songs that really, really accompany the industrial aspect of this album, and Disassemble. Getting tongue-tied here. But again, the album is The Industrialist by Fear Factory. This is released on Candlelight Records. Pick this up if you wish. And for the time being, this gets a 7.5 out of 10. A strong 7.5 out of 10. Might get a better rating when I listen to it more. But it's hit and miss. But I think there are a lot more hits than there are misses with this album. So, yeah, 7.5, Fear Factory, The Industrialist. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Army Hell out.